Hello again and welcome to part 3 of my beginners series for how to make a quick start in Elite Dangerous. Quick recap of where we are. Part 1, uh, from the beginning we went straight to the high resource extraction site in Dromi. We helped the police kill a few bad guys until we had a million, probably 1.2 million would be better. Um, then we equipped our Sidewinder. We used the money to equip the Sidewinder for mining, and we went out into high aid sector somewhere to Painite double hotspot and main mined Painite there. Whole trip took about an hour, and that got us nearly 10 million. So here I am now sitting with 9,850,000 in cash, and also we've got the value of the ship itself, which is worth about a million. So we can sell that. I'll show you how to get the best value from it. But the next stage is to get a proper mining ship, and the uh, first stage mining ship, the sort of bottom tier after proper mining ship after the Sidewinder, is the Type 6. And they haven't got one at this station. If you're very lucky, um, whatever station you go to sell your painite at, when you come back from your Sidewinder trip, they might have a T6 there. And in a previous trial I did, not only did they have the T6, but they had every module I needed to equip it for mining. So that was really lucky, but I haven't been able to repeat that. So I'm pretty sure I know where there is one. There are various tools you can use to find them, which I'll show you later. But without that, I'll show you a place where I believe I can get one. But before I do that, I know it's going to be a long way away from here. So that's always the thing, got to balance time to get there against the time looking for one that might be nearer. So it's going to be about 15 minutes away. So I think I'm just going to bite the bullet and go and get it. So waste 15 minutes is not a big deal. So the first thing we want to do now, our ship is equipped for mining. We're finished with mining in this Sidewinder. I'm going to sell it when I get to the place where the T6 is. So I could strip it all now, but I don't want to strip everything because I need some of the stuff for travelling. So what I'm going to do is make it as light as possible. Now, if you look down here at the moment, I can do 19 light years when empty. So I'm just going to get that up a bit by making the ship lighter. So I don't need these mining lasers anymore. So I can simply sell them. And then the aim would be to make every module as light as possible except the frameshift drive. So I didn't have anything in utility mounts. Oh, this did a shield booster. We didn't need that. Nobody shot us. So I've managed to get this far without anybody shooting me so far. So we've got a 2B power plant. That's quite heavy. Let's see if we've got anything here. No, they haven't, so I can't lighten that. In fact, they've got no stock of anything, so I can't sell any of these other things or downgrade them. Ideally, I'd want to get that down to a 1D, and I'd want to get the power plant down to a 1D, and that'll give me an extra couple of light years jump range. As you can see, now I'm up to 22, so I've gained a little bit by selling those things. Oh, I can get rid of yes, the optional internal is I can still get rid of more stuff. Cargo racks don't weigh anything, but I'm not going to use them again, so I can sell them, get a few credits for them. So always when you're getting rid of a ship that you're never going to use again, sell all the optionals, um, sell all your weapons, and then downgrade everything to the lowest level in the main modules. So I could leave the shield behind, but I might bump into the station on the way out, so I'm going to keep that just for now. I can get rid of the refinery. None of these things weigh very much, so they haven't got me much. I've finished with this detailed surface scanner, but just in case they haven't got it at the next stop, I'm going to keep that for now. Yeah, it might have been worth keeping the refinery as well, just to make sure I've got it there. But I'm pretty sure I've got all the stuff there. So, right. So that didn't make much difference. But you see now our balance has gone up a little bit, so I've got 10 million in cash. So the place I need to go, to open the galaxy map. Oops, right back. Is click on this tab here. LTT 15574. You can see it's quite a long way away. So I haven't got the system data for it. The station I want is called Haxel Port. When I get there, it's about 700 light seconds from the station. So I've been there loads of times. That hasn't changed. So I'll see you there then. You know how to take off and get out of the station now and everything. So I'll catch you down there. Yeah, here's a little tip that I forgot to mention earlier. When you've got a long way to travel and you're going to be doing a lot of scooping, you can make life much easier if you reduce your heat. So already we sold all our weapons, so we don't have those anymore. We sold the refinery, I think it was, as well. So we're not using as much power. If you look, if you go to your modules tab, first thing, you can switch off the things you don't need anymore. So if I just go to the power distributor, I'm just going to switch it back on a minute. So what you should do is put your pips to 4 pips to engines and 2 to systems, like that, because that's going to give you the maximum speed if you get pulled out of Super Cruise by an interdictor or something like that. Then you can switch off the power distributor. So the power distributor is still working, but when you save all that power is only used to work those pips. It's not actually switched it off, so it's now locked on those pips. So I've still got the maximum speed and I can boost and everything, no problem at all. But I'm saving all that power. So I've switched off my shields and I've switched off the cargo hatch. There's nothing to bump into when you're out in space, and I'm not carrying any cargo, so if I get interdicted, nobody's going to shoot me. I did actually just get interdicted by a pirate. Wanted to see, let's have a look at the message. I'm coming for you, what do you have in your cargo hold? But I didn't have anything, so he just flew away again. But he pulled me out of Super Cruise, so I had to jump back in again. Right, another thing is, along this way, I came through or past 2 white dwarfs. They're weird stars, big long things, blue and white. You'll see them. You have to stop immediately. You mustn't fly through them. You mustn't fly through those tails. They've got like 2 long tails either end. You mustn't fly through those. So just stop, turn away from them, and fly away for a bit. And then when you see them on your radar, reduced to a small ball, then you can jump to the next system. So if you look at the difference now when I'm scooping with all those things switched off, before, if I went to 60%, 65, what is it here, it was like really sensitive. I'm at 66% now. Now before, that was rising rapidly right up to, as soon as it got to 66, went 68, 70, 72. Now I can sit here for much, much longer. I think the temperature will still rise, there, 68, but it's taking much, much longer to rise. So I'm much safer scooping now. As you can see, I'm filling up the whole tank, sitting here at this rate. It can actually go to about 70%, and it still only rises slowly. So I've filled up my tank now. So you just take your time now. It will gradually go up in temperature, but nothing like what it did before. Before when it got to 80, I had to turn away straight away, and it was at 80 in a few seconds. So yeah, that's another little tip for you. Then when you get to the final star, which in this case is LTT 15574, you can switch your shields back on again before, you know, as you're sort of super cruising towards the station. And these 1C shields, they go from, in super cruise, they go from 0 to full in seconds. So they'll be ready for you when, you know, when you go into the station. Right, here we are in Haxel Port. Just remember, before you land, take all your pips off your engines down here, and that makes it a lot easier to land.
Do you have authorization to be inside the docking bay? Remember, loitering is a violation.
Oop.
Warning, engage landing gear.
It takes about 6 or 7 seconds for your landing gear to come down, so if you're too quick, um, it it won't land still. So that's why there's a slight delay after I hit the pad. Right, so now before we get rid of this ship, there's a couple of things we want to do. Along the way, I collected a load of, using the Discovery scanner, honking it. I honked every system. I didn't do any scanning. If I had a scanned, you know, done all the planet scans with the Discovery scanner, I'd have got even more money than that. But 387,000 credits just for, you know, pushing the trigger at each stop, each star as I came across. So that should help in getting my T6. But the first thing we need to do is go to outfitting and get downgrade all the modules we've got left and sell what we can. Because when you trade in a ship with the modules attached, you lose 15% of the value. Whereas if you sell them, you get the full value. So it might make, I mean, it makes a few thousand. In what we're doing, it's not a big deal, but you know, it's always a useful thing to do, or it could be useful in some circumstances. So my power plant, I should be able to go down to right down to an E now, back to where we started. Now this is a really good station, and I'll tell you why. First of all, it has a very good range of modules for nearly every ship. So until you get to elite, it's always worth coming here if you need stuff, or checking out at least what's here. And the other thing is, nearby this station is a high resource extraction site, which is very, very active, and it's a good place when you need to rank up your rank. You know, if you get a new, you know, later on when you've got a ship that can carry a fighter and you want to rank up your crew to elite so they fight better, this is a good place to come. So you want to bookmark this station, this system. Right, so we've done all that. So that's the optional internals now. Bi-weave shield we don't need anymore. Fuel scoop. I'm pretty sure. I think we need a bigger one anyway. Sell. So you can store stuff. Detailed service. I'm going to store that just in case. I could always sell it afterwards. Where's store? What's the transfer options? Store. There it is. Because we're going to need that on the new ship. So I can, you know, I can either buy it or I can bring it back out of storage. Makes no difference. So we've finished with the Sidewinder now. So now we go to the shipyard and get our T6. So we got 11 million now, and we get going to get a bit more for the Sidewinder when we... Oh no, it was a borrowed Sidewinder, wasn't it? The original one. So, shipyard. Adder, Viper, Cobra, Diamondback, Type 6, there it is. It doesn't cost very much, but we've got a lot of outfitting to do. We don't want to store our current ship. You might be attached to it, but you'll soon realise that there's a lot better ships. So this T6 for a transporter is actually pretty fast, really good for getting out of interdictions. So we have a shiny new T6. It's the full transit of ships in the game. Now we want to outfit it for mining. So let me just show you what we've got. Mining lasers, the same ones as we had before on a Sidewinder. Utility mounts, I haven't got anything. Got some spare money. Could have added a heatsink. Could have added some shield boosters. Got plenty of power for them. Heatsink's useful for interdictions. When they pull you out of an interdiction, the moment you drop out, if you drop a heatsink and then boost away, they can't get a lock on you, so they can't actually shoot you. And by the time that heatsink's expired, you've got so much distance on them that their weapons can't hardly do you any damage. And then by that time, you've got your frame shift drive going anyway, and you jump away. So it's a good way of getting out of interdiction. Generally, speed's enough, so I'm not going to bother with heat sinks because I'm pretty good at it. So when they pull you out, just boost. As soon as your power distributor's charged up your capacitor, boost again, and by that time your frame shift drive's cooled down, and you can engage it and get on your way, wave them goodbye. So you do have to submit to the interdiction, otherwise you're stuck with them for a long time. Speed still helps, but um, you get away much more quickly if you submit to the interdiction, which means going to zero throttle the moment you get the blue, the boom and the blue come up. Right, core internals, it's just a question of everything optimized. So best power plant, best thrusters, best frame shift drive, best power distributor, then the lightest sensors, the lightest life support, and standard fuel tank. I haven't done anything with the armor. You could use much less, you could use a lower power distributor because we've got a bit spare as you can see. I think even a Class D, a power plant works. If they haven't got a 3A power, a 3B would probably work. Same with a frame shift drive. 4A is ideal, but 4B is not that far behind. It's just less convenience. And so that's those. Then this is the critical stuff for mining, the optional internals. So we need, the idea is to get the best cargo capacity you can get to bring as much stuff back as you can, balanced against having plenty of collector limpets to collect up the fragments, and uh, yeah, that's about it. And then you need all the other essential equipment. So let's just go through it. So cargo racks, refinery. So again, we only need a 1A, but a 4A gets us 10 bins, which is 10 extra units uh, or, of Painite to sell. So it's like a cargo rack as well. So whatever else we do, we can't get an extra cargo rack because all the other slots are full. So we might as well have the best refinery we can. So you could have like better shields and a 3A refinery or something if you were, if you wanted to. But this build is fine, so I would just stick with this one. So collector limpets, we need a 3A for that. Um, shield generator, I've chosen a 3C bi-weave, um, again, because it generates fast. We bump into rocks a lot, and so it regenerates all the time, while as a 3A is stronger, but does, if you bump a lot, does tend to go down and down all the time. Um, doesn't regenerate so quickly. Fuel scoop, 2A is adequate. Obviously the best fuel scoop you can get is always the best, but again, you've got to compromise on something else. So that's how I've done it. And a prospector limpet controller. They uh, they're used for seeing which rocks have got painite. Before we had to guess, but this time we can now see it. And not only that, a prospector limpet gets you twice as many fragments out of the rock, as you'll see. So um, that's the outfitting. So when you've done that, you'll get the message up that you need to do your fire group. So let's have a look at those. Um, here we are here. So this is how I've done it. It's a logical way of doing it. So in group one, we've got the mining lasers on trigger one, because they're like weapons. I always have weapons on trigger one. Then the collector limpets you'll need to use at the same time as they expire while you're mining. So put them on trigger two. Then I always tend to put limpets on triggers two, as it's easier for muscle memory. So I've got my prospector limpets on in group two, trigger two. So each time I fire prospector, I need to switch fire groups. And then the detailed surface scanner, I've put in fire group two as well, um, just for simplicity. So it's on trigger one, fire group two. So I only need in fact, I don't need to use a detailed surface scanner because um, we're going to go back to the same planet as we went last time. We've already scanned it. Now what happens is if you don't fit a detailed surface scanner, you can't see the hotspots anymore. As long as you've got it, they're persistent. So that's why we need to fit a detailed surface scanner, even though we've scanned this particular one. So it's only if we go to another double Painite hotspot in another system, another planet, that we need to scan it again. So we don't need to fire any more um, probes at it. So really, we don't need trigger one. But I've put it like that just to show you that's a general way of laying it out. Well, one other thing you could look at, it's not really important for mining, but because we haven't covered it yet, is priorities. So um, as a general rule for a ship, what happens with the priorities is those with the lowest priority switch off when you don't have enough power. So the lowest priority switches off first, and then so you can actually go over power. So we've got 100% power, but you can actually have 110% usage. And what will happen is that 10% of the modules will switch off, and it'll be those with the lowest power go first until your power usage is less than 100%. The other thing is, I think it also affects damage. Like when you're under fire, those with the lowest priority get get knocked out first. So when you're fighting, generally essential systems like thrusters um, and shields maybe go on priority one. Then um, weapons and stuff like that priority two, and then other stuff priority three and upwards. Cargo hatch priority four because when you're fighting you don't need it at all. But if we have the cargo hatch too low a priority, um, if you overheat, that's going to be the first thing to go, and it's going to spill your cargo if you're not careful. So you could put that, your cargo's valuable, you could put it priority one. Um, gives it a bit more protection. So, you know, you can see what priorities I've done, but it's not that important for what we're doing. Um, I just thought I'd show you that there is that there. Right, so when this is now really really important. What I'm going to show you next, and you're going to make the mistake sooner or later. I've done it loads of times. Um, before you go anywhere, we need the limpets. So we go to advanced maintenance and restock. And we've got 64 cargo capacity. In this case, I'm going to take 40 and hope it's enough. As a general rule, you want about half the number of limpets as you've got cargo capacity when you're painite mining. But when it's a big ship, you got things even out more because you got so many limpets. If the first 10 rocks don't have any painite in, you know, you've used 10 out of 250 limpets. But in this T6, it's going to be 10 out of 40, so we're going to have used 25% of our limpets before we've even started mining. So I'm just going to go a bit over half this case. We're probably going to have to dump them. Um, you'll see how we do that later. We'll dump some of them. We're using some, but what happens is when your cargo hold's full and you've still got limpets in there, you have to get rid of the limpets to make roll room for your cargo. Right, so confirm that, and whenever you're on a mining trip, it's always worth, just before you take off, always go to your inventory, see, yep, I've got my limpets. There they are there, 40 of them. Right, now we're ready to navigate, so I think I've already got it in there. But the place we're going to go to is same place as last time, high aid sector. There it is, DBX D1112, planet 2. So now, because we've been there already in the Sidewinder, we have the system information. So it's that planet there, this little one in between these two. So I always navigate direct to the planet while I'm in the station. You can choose a planet when you get there if you want. So that's it. So I'll see you again there, and then I'll show you how to mine using limpets this time. Yeah. Now this is your first upgrade. You have to remember that this ship's a bit more lively than the Sidewinder. It's quite fast, and it's got a bit of drift on it as well. So take all your pips off your engines. There'll be 2, 2, and 2. So what you want to do is take all the pips off just to get out the station. So use your vertical thruster to go up. Go out on the green side with it on the right. So lift the landing gear. And at full throttle with no pips, what have I got? 49. So I'm just going to add 1 pip. That's going to get, so I'm quite safe in a station with like that. But with 4 pips, it's quite fast, a bit more lively. So it's nice and easy to control like that. So it's dead easy to land this ship. So once we got out of the station, you can put your 4 pips to engines, 2 to systems. Oops, still got my landing gear down, that's why it's going so slow. And boost. And what you can do, because we're going to be doing a lot of scooping, so I'm going to modules now. Switch off all the ones you don't need. We don't need the shields anymore. We don't need the cargo hatch. We don't need the power distributor now that we've fixed the pips. We don't need the refinery, don't need mining lasers, don't need collection limits. I've switched all those off. We need the frameshift drive, life support, fuel scoop. Don't need prospector limpets, I've switched those off. So to switch them off, you just click them twice. Those cargo racks don't need any power. So what that does, that's reducing my power so that I stay cool while I'm scooping. Right, here we are at the planet number 2. If you remember from the previous video, Well, if you didn't watch the previous one, you need to fire your um, detailed surface scanner probe into the rings to see where the hotspots are. So what we're looking for is these two blobs here, where my little dot's pointing, with the one next to it in the white ring. So there's also those two little dots there sort of next to them, so you know you're in the right place. So we've got these two hotspots there, and we're aiming for halfway in between, which is, see where this black ring is there. There's one single black ring just above. It's come to light in a minute. That one there, right where my cursor is, I don't know whether you can see that. That's where I normally aim for, just above that line. So go in, anything 3/4 throttle or below. Right, first thing, switch on our night vision. The ship. There it is. Right, let's see what happens with the pirates this time. There's a ship. He's a miner. Oh no, what is he? A member. He could be either. What's he doing? Is he going to scan us? So the pirates will always scan you. There's another ship up above us. He doesn't seem to be scanning. He looks like he's looking for rocks. This one here. Another ship come. He's a miner. He's going down to the rocks. He's got no shields. He's a miner. He's going down to the rocks. So nobody's scanned us. So I'm still pretty sure that for the first two or three, hang on, what's this going on? Oh, he's going to scan us. What have you got in your cargo? So he's a pirate. Now, we don't have any weapons, so we can't shoot him. So all we can do is wait for him to go away, which is going to take about 5 minutes. Now, what used to happen was they would scan you and then fly away. There's a couple of strategies you can use. You can boost till it's well off the radar. But what he'll do, probably, they nearly all do this, is once he's scanned us, he'll sort of fly some distance away, then he'll do a complete lap of the radar at full range, sort of flashing because he's out of range to see. So he's flying away from us at the moment, and you'll see him start flashing as he's gone out of range. But then he'll go round. Sometimes they attack another ship, one of the other miners. There's one disappeared by the looks of it. They'll shoot them, and then they'll go away, in which case you've got to wait. Let's just have a look round now. So basically you want to fly down to the rocks. Don't start mining yet until he's gone. So we know his name, it's Storm Chaser. So eventually, when he flies away, he'll be a white dot like that other one on the radar. Once we've got that, it'll say frame shift wake from Storm Chaser. So we have to wait that. So good idea now to go and make a cup of tea or coffee or whatever you want to do. Go and cook your tea or whatever you're going to do. He will eventually go away, but it's just a waiting game. Now, I think once they've scanned you and found you've got no cargo, they should leave you alone. They used to, but I did have one, as he was going around the radar, you can see where he is now. He was like right out of range, and I started mining, and then all of a sudden he started coming towards me again. So I didn't want to hang about to find out what he was going to do. So I scooted away again. Once you've got that cargo, you see, every time you drop in, new pirates are going to come each time you drop. So if they scan you and you've got cargo, they'll attack you. So once you've got that cargo, really, your only thing you can do is go back to the station and sell it, or go back to any station, get rid of it. You could dump it. Or as I said, boosting away might, well, I mean, you got to boost about, 10, is it kilometers, 10 whatevers, till he's well off your radar. in the opposite direction. But you can see he's doing a circuit of the radar. So they're obviously programmed to circle you. So I'm not too sure what happens boosting in any one direction, whether they'll find you again and do another circuit. But obviously there's no point in boosting forwards because that's where he's going to go. You know, if he's like behind you, you know he's coming forward. So you need to sort of think about which way he's going. So if I was to boost to the left and forward now, I should get away from him. But there we go. He's gone now. It just turned white in a minute. Wait for the white dot. Come on. He's gone. He disappeared quickly. Normally he should leave a white dot. There he is. Is that him? Took him a while. Let's just check. High wake storm chaser. So that's it. So now we're free to start mining. So didn't take too long. Same as before. So need to de-target him. Right. So as a general rule, you want to fly towards the planet so you don't go over the same rocks again. And what we're looking for is the round ones, the small ones, and the stationary ones. So this one's stationary. So we've got to bring up our prospector limpets now. So a fire, going to be fairly close to the rock, not like dead close. You've got quite a range on these A-class prospector. Fire the prospector limpet at the rock, target it, and it tells me it's got 45% painite in it. So I'm ready to start mining now. So what I do, I bring up my mining lasers and my collector limpets. So remember, I've got them in the same fire groups. I've just changed fire groups. So I fire my laser. Oh, now I want to put 4 pips to weapons, 1 to systems, and 1 to engines. And then start mining. See what happens. We might be able to use less pips. We'll check that in a minute. And then fire the trigger that gets the collector limpets out. So you'll have to do that twice. There's a little bit of a delay between them. Oh, get your cargo scoop out. And now this is much easier because you can see the collector limpets collecting up the fragments. Now, there's some tricks to this. The closer you get, you want to be something like this. Nice and close and straight. And what happens is the fragments come directly back towards you. And the limpets can collect them up as they're being mined, and they'll put them straight in the holes. Now, if you've got a spinning rock or an irregular shaped rung, it knocks the fragments all over the place. It takes ages for the limpets to collect them, and it'll bring another problem, which I'll explain in a minute. So, I'm looking at the that's weird. On the left-hand side where it says limpet prospector, painite 45%. It's not a bad yield for first rock. And above that, materials remaining 50%. So that goes down and down. When it gets to 0, it tells you get a message that the rock is depleted, as you'll hear in a minute. As a general rule, you don't want to mine anything with less than 25% painite in it. There's plenty with more than that. Sometimes it takes a while to find them, but you get, if it's got 10% painite, it's going to take the same time to mine as it was one with 50, but with a 50% one, you get 5 times as much from it. So it's a question of using your time efficiently. You know, if you're not bothered about time, you're not bothered about earnings rate, you just try this out, then you can mine any rock with painite. It doesn't make any difference. But if you want to make the maximum return for your effort, then rocks with 25% or more. And there's a little bit of randomness involved. Like one time you'll come, you find all the high yield rocks like dead easily. Another time, you know, you scratch around a bit for them. Not too sure why that is. Right, so the asteroid is depleted now. So just wait for don't move. You can stop your lasers now, but don't move until your limpets have picked up every last fragment. Okay, stay in position because the limpets travel in a straight line. If you get past the rock, so the fragments on one side of the rock and you're on the other, the limpets can't get them, and all sorts of weird things happen then. The limpets expire, they struggle, and they'll keep going and trying to get the fragment, but they won't be able to get it. So let's try this rotating rock here. So you can fire now you've got to switch fire groups to the prospector again. As long as you're pointing at the rock, fire the prospector. And you want to be still or moving slowly when you fire the prospector. Otherwise, you catch it up, bump into it and kill it. So no Painite in that one. If you haven't done this before, you need to check the fragments and remove all the fragments. There's a nice looking rock over there. Over here, oh, we can't do it until we got one. I'll show you. I showed you this with the side. You've got to put them on the ignore list, all the materials you don't want. But I've done that already when I was in the Sidewinder. There, it's persistent. So we're still sort of just working our way towards the planet in that general direction. You don't go very fast. Rocks seem very slow today, so they all look mineable. So just keep travelling, working this general direction, firing your limpets. So he's got 48%, so that's okay. Switch fire groups. We've already got our collectors to stay out for 12 minutes, A-class ones. So always use A-class because they last a long time. Otherwise you need a lot more of them. So this rock's rotating a little bit more. But when they're rotating slowly like this, they're absolutely no problem. You'll see what I mean when you try and mine a faster one. So as you go up through the ships, you get more powerful lasers. You get 2D, and you can have more of them. But actually, class 2Ds is about, even at a cutter, is about optimum. You know, because what can happen if you mine them too fast, the limpets won't be able to keep up with the fragments. So then you mine the stuff quickly, then you've got to wait while the limpets collect up all the fragments, so you haven't actually saved anything. So it's always keeping a balance between your lasering ability, how quickly you can get the fragments out, and how quickly you can collect them up. And if you leave them, what happens is they spread out. As they're coming out, they spread out. So you want to collect them as soon as they come out if you can. So I've lost the collector limpet now for whatever reason. That went a bit quick. So just fire off another one. So what's happened? That limpet up at the end of the radar now seems to be struggling. For whatever reason. It usually happens when a fragment gets stuck on the surface of the asteroid. They can't get them then. So it seems to have got around the other side somehow, is it? So I'm only using one. I've only got one limpet working for me at the moment while that other one struggles. He's gone again, so I have to fire another one. So if it's a really irregular shaped rock, that happens all the time. That's why we need small rocks, round rocks and stationary ones. So the fragment at the highest and furthest one on the radar is the one that seems to be stuck. So the limpets are collecting the other fragments which are nearer at the moment. But at the end they're going to go back for that one. So it's just about deleted. Let's see what happens. I'll show you what to do if they keep struggling. So that one they should get quite easily, and it's the next one they can't get. Can you... There... Where is it? It's that fragment there. It could be inside the rock. See, that limpet there is trying to get it. Oh, there it is, just round the back. It crept round the back, so it should get it now. See, they only like to go in straight lines from the ship. So you must never let the fragments get behind the rocks. I don't know why that one went round. It must have stuck to the surface or something. So, next one. Change fire groups.
Prospector limpet failed.
This one's spinning a bit faster. That's only got 7%, so I'm not going to bother with that. Yeah, use your vertical thrust. When you're close to the rocks like this, the quickest way to get around them is just to use your vertical thrusters like this to get to the next one. So, switch fire groups, prospector. This is a bigger rock, but it's moving quite slowly, so it's okay. That one behind it is moving too fast. Size doesn't matter. It's just random, you know, which rocks have got which painite in. He's only got 8%. I've done this a lot, so I know sort of what I'm looking for. That's a nice rock. The one above looks a good one as well. These nice little stationary round ones are perfect, especially when you've got a big ship. Because if the rocks are too close together, you can get jammed between the rocks. So he hasn't got any.
Asteroid scan complete.
Yeah, you don't have to go exactly towards the planet, but you just got to work in that general direction. You know, obviously the more you go behind, the more chance you've got of trying to probe a rock that you've already done. So you can see why you need a lot of limpets. So how much cargo have we got so far? 29 tons already. 14%. So which direction are we going this way?
Asteroid scan complete.
Can't remember whether we did that well. It could be dark here when you get here, so you need your night vision. And what happens then is it's difficult to judge distance of the rocks, so you have to actually move forward and look how the rocks seem to be moving relative to you to figure out which ones are near to you and which ones aren't. Because you fire your limpet at a rock, it's not clear whether it's a small rock that's near to you or a large rock that's a long way away. Unless you're using 3D stuff. Like there's another one. So change
Asteroid scan complete.
fire groups. So as long as they're smooth, even when they're moving moderately, it's not too bad. Some people recommend that you approach the rock on its axis of rotation, but they don't actually have what I've found is they don't have an axis of rotation. They have two axes of rotation and they flip. So this one's sort of rotating horizontally, but if you go up to the top there and come in from that direction, mysteriously it'll flip and start rotating that way as well. So I find it better to choose the right rock. It doesn't matter which way it flips and turns to mine, like this one if it's smooth. You just want to come in and out a little bit while you're doing it. As long as they're smooth, the fragments don't get stuck. It's the rough ones, the rough spinning ones, and the irregular shaped ones that you've got to avoid. So when you've done it for a bit, you'll soon figure out, you know, which are the easy rocks and which aren't. And you got to watch out, like, as the rock's spinning, you can see that bit coming towards you, so just like move back a bit, let it go past, and then you can move in again. If they're spinning really fast, they'll swipe the fragments, knock them all over the place, especially the irregular shaped rocks. So that's why you don't want any fast spinning ones. This one is about as fast as what you want. So it's depleted now, and then we go on to the next one. That'll change fire groups.
Programming Hippodrome. Prospector limpet failed.
So the highest you get is about 65.5%,
Prospector limpet engaged.
22%. How much do we need? So we're
Asteroid
about
scan
halfway yet, so I
complete.
won't bother with that one.
Programming
So
Hippodrome.
you've probably got the general idea by now.
Prospector
So the
limpet
important thing
failed.
is to wait for the pirates to go and choose the right rocks. I need to show you what to do. That's a nice one, 58%. As you fill up. So I'll have a look in a minute.
Complete.
Right fire group. This one's a bit more irregular shape. It's not spinning too fast. So you just got to watch out that your nose doesn't get swiped. Another thing, when you fly past the rocks, don't fly with your belly close to them, because the limpets sit under your belly when they're idle, and you'll obliterate them. So always try and fly with your flanks adjacent to the rock when you go past it. What other advice can I give? Yeah, so it's the basic thing. The main thing is to sort of not fly past the rock, not to be too quick to move on to the next one while there's fragments out there. Wait until your limpets are finished before. So the cargo bay's full now. That doesn't mean I'm full up with cargo. It means I've got too many limpets in there. So if we have a look, I've still got 22 limpets. So what I'm going to do is get rid of some of them. So you select limpets and abandon them. So I'm going to get rid of 5 for now. Remember that my refinery can hold 10 tons. So even when my cargo bay is full, that's interesting. The discarded limpets are showing on the radar. They used to do that all the time. But in my other accounts, they don't do that. So they look like fragments, but they're not. They're what I've just discarded, the limpets. But it's interesting. In my other account, they don't show. So the cargo holds. I'm going to carry on for a bit now. Even though my cargo hold's full, what will happen is it'll start filling up the refinery. So if we now look at this one here, come back to the left side, move down one, that's the refinery. So you can see one bin's full up now. Now the second one's just filling. So I can go quite a way. So I'm going to fill them all up. So when I'm totally full, I'm then going to worry about what I'm going to I'm worried about getting rid of limpets to make more space. So how many more are there? No, were they all fragments? I thought they were the limpets I discarded. Yeah, they were. That's it. So it's stopped now. You can see the 2 limpets have become idle behind me. Actually sitting under the belly. So, as I said, it always moves sideways past the rocks, not belly towards them.
Programming Hippodrome. Cargo hold at maximum capacity.
So you can ignore all these messages about cargo hold. You just got to understand what's happening. So what's happened now is another rock. Each time you fire a limpet, it makes another 1 unit space. So then stuff moves out of the refinery into the cargo hold again and fills it back up again automatically. So if we look now, see we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 bins full. So each time I fire a limpet, another bin will empty because it's going to refine it. So it has actually refined it, but it's not. It can't put it in a cargo hold yet. So this one here will fill up the refinery, and I'll show you why I'm doing it in a minute. It'll all make sense when you figure it out. Because the idea, you want to leave the place with the refinery full and the cargo bay full and no limpets left. The danger is if you throw out your limpets to make space for the cargo, then you don't find any more rocks and your limpets expire like that, or a limpet gets stuck and they all expire, and then you can't fill up because you've got no more collector limpets. Especially when you're in a big ship, if you're in a Python, say, it's impossible to collect fragments manually with a Python. Well, not impossible, but as near as damn it. I've done it in a cutter. Sidewinder's dead easy, as you've seen before. I haven't tried it in this ship yet. I think Cobra's quite easy. But it's probably easy in this one, so it's not at the end of the world. But it's much easier when you've got limpets doing it. So if you plan it right, you'll see how it all works. You just have to think of it. So resources are unallocated. That means the refinery is full. So now I can move back up to here, get rid of some. So I'm going to get rid of another 5. So click on there. So I know exactly how many more I need now because that was 50. So what's happened now is that immediately 5 units have shifted out of the refinery and filled that back up again. So now the refinery is filling up again. How much have we got left? I'm just going to stop a minute and let them catch up with the ones that's drifting away behind me. Got a radar 1 limpet there, it's just going around in circles, it couldn't get it. So the fragments are down below me a bit, so I'm just going down a bit. Oh no, sorry, that was getting mixed up. That was the limpets again. Keep forgetting because in my other account they don't show. I don't know, can we add them to ignore list? Limpet. Oh yeah. No, they won't show, that makes it easier. So that's how you get rid of all the fragments that aren't Painite. For any material, like when you come to the inventory, like, the contacts here, any fragments that show, when you click on them, on the right hand side there, just add them to the ignore list. So everything Bertrandite, Gallite, Indite, all that sort of stuff. The first time you come, add them all to the ignore list. Otherwise you'll collect them. So if you do accidentally collect them, you can eject them just like I have with these limpets. So did I do that one? Can't remember, it looks a bit fast, but I'll give it a go anyway. So it's 55%, so what I'm going to do is come around the side a bit to try and get, see, on that edge it's spinning a bit fast, but if I come in from around here, just using my thrusters, side down thrusters, it's not spinning quite so badly, but it's probably going to flip. What you've got to watch out for is when they flip, that they start to swipe you. They sort of lean on you, and then you've got to like manoeuvre to avoid getting leaned on. So let's get rid of another few. Oops, 5. So at that point, I needed another 8 tons. From a good rock like this, 55%, you get about 13 tons from them. So we've got 60% to go. Might fill up from this one. So you can see this is like, you can do this while you're watching the television, or I I catch up with all my news and stuff with YouTube videos while I'm doing this, so I'm gonna get rid of a nut. I'm gonna keep one limpet. Because I can't remember when they're gonna expire. So last one. So this is the next time I see resources unallocated. Right, what that means is now my refinery is full, my cargo's full, I've got no limpets left. There's my refinery, so like there's 10 tons in there. That's 10 tons for nothing. So finished now, ready to leave. So put the cargo scoop away.
Deploy cargo hatch. Cargo scoop.
You get all these messages, don't worry about that. Leave at right angles to the rocks, boost out, 4 pips to engines, 2 to systems now. So the only question now is whether we're going to get interdicted on the way back. That's the only danger now. We're not home and dry till we're in the station. So before that, I need to use the tool to find out where to sell it. I did show you that in the previous video. I'll just put a picture of it up here for you. So in this case, it's Bones Home. It's not too bad. So I'm copying that from my computer. Open up the galaxy map. Stop spinning. In the grey box there, Control V. I could have typed it in, that's easier. Come on. I don't have the system information yet for it. So looks like I've got enough fuel to get there. When this line's yellow, it means you've got enough fuel to get there. When it's dotted, it means you've got to scoop or refuel. Right, there it is, nice in front of us. So we're ready to go. Forget about that.
Apply.
No, you've got to put your weapons away, of course.
Frameshift drive charging.
So I'll either see you back in the station or I'll show you the interdiction. I think at the beginning of the game, I think I did about, in all the trials I've done, about 4 trips before I actually got interdicted. So they are quite kind to you, but in my cutter, I see a pirate nearly every trip, but probably every second one I get interdicted. Oh, switched off my fuel scoop. What am I doing? Modules. I've got enough fuel, but I just, for safety's sake, like to have a bit of reserve.
Fuel tank.
So I'm not going to boost this time because I'll end up, this ship's a lot faster, it's got more momentum, so it'll be difficult to stop. So request my docking permission. Oops.
Approval granted. Plot route for approach to landing pad 1-1.
So what I'm doing, I'm flying quite fast in. As long as you're fast getting through the slot, you won't get ships in the way. See, there's like a couple of ships just arrived behind me. If you hang around and that, they'll jump in front of you, and then you've got to go slow so you don't bump into them. Right, once you're in, take all your pips off your engines.
500 meters
What do we
from
want?
touchdown.
Number 11. That's just gone past it. See, it's directly underneath me now. Landing gear, forgot last time. Somebody's in trouble with the police. Oh, so I'll put the landing gear down.
The docking
Warning.
bay.
Deploy
We
landing
request
gear.
that pilots avoid blocking access to docking
You have to just
pads.
wait a bit for the landing gear.
Landing
That's
gear
it.
deployed.
It doesn't come out straight away. Right, let's see how much money we got this time then.
Touchdown.
Let's
Systems
refuel.
back. Enjoy your
Just
stay
going to
at
sell my
Cargo
data that I
Facility,
honked along the
Commander.
way. It's always useful. 79,000. Nothing in the overall situation now. In the beginning that was worth a lot, but now you'll see commodities markets. Sell. Scroll down. Now always check, because that tool I use isn't always right. You want at least 700,000 for it. If it's like 300,000, you need to use the tool again, find another station. So 64 Painites, sell at 50 million nearly.
Incoming message.
And then don't forget to wait for the next 10 tons to come from your refinery. That's now in your cargo hold again, so I can get that. So it's another 7 million. Sell that. So here we are now. So we had 1 hour in the Sidewinder helping the police kill the um, pirates, 1 hour in the Sidewinder mining for Painite, and roughly one, 1 hour in this ship mining Painite. So in 3 hours now from start, we've got 58 million and a ship that's worth about 8 million. So what's 66 million? So what you do now, you need to find a T7. That's a really nice ship. Exactly the same procedure. Outfit it for mining. I mean, you could use this one again. It's actually quite a convenient ship. But when you go back the second and third time, I think I would want to add some shield boosters because you're probably going to get interdicted. And just for safety's sake, 2 shield boosters and a heat sink so that you can drop a heat sink when you get pulled out, and your shields will hold better while you get into super cruise. That's what I would do if I was going to stick with a ship. But otherwise, if you're really lucky, I mean, it just depends where you are. If you go to shipyard, let's just see what's here. No T7. So they've got a Python, which has got about the same capacity, but I think it just depends where they got all the stuff here. So yeah, go and get yourself a T7. Use the tools to find out where they are and where all the stuff is. Then after T7, you could stay with that a little bit, and that gets you even more. You're well over. I think you're up to 250 tons or something like that. So that's worth about 100 million or so per trip. So you could do a few trips in that, or you could go for a T9. The only problem with a T9 is it's very, very slow, and if you get interdicted, it's difficult to get away. You need a bit of practice first, so might be better to stay with a T7 for a bit because it's still quite fast. So you can boost away from the interdictors. So that's it, really. Basically, you can keep Painite mining until you've got 201 billion, like I have in my other account, or you can then go on to other things. I think what I would do, I'd get maybe a billion or so, and then do the engineers. So just work way all through the engineers. You need different ships for different things because a whole load of different activities. Jump on the forums and things and find out what you got to do for the various engineers and do that. And then you can like really optimize your ships, and then you can do proper combat and proper exploring and all that sort of thing. I mean, you can explore in anything, but it's just so much easier when you can jump 70 or more light years at a time. For that, you need to like engineer your ship. So different things. No need for any engineering for this. You can go straight off. As you can see, we've only been in the game 3 hours, and already we got our 60 odd million. So I hope you enjoyed that. I have made other videos, but basically they're just more of the same thing. So, uh, and there's so many options now what you want to do that, you know, it's a big galaxy. Just do what you want. Use the forums and other YouTube videos, you know, how to do stuff. That's what I've done. So, I might see you again in another video sometime, but other than that, if you any questions at all, put them in the comments and I'll answer them for you. Okay, might see you again sometime.